Hi everyone, welcome back to our lesson on Module 7 Out and About with me, Teacher Grace. Today we'll be looking at the project work, which includes the time of quarter to and quarter past, and not forgetting the exercise in our workbook on page 55. In today's lesson, these are the two words that you would need to know, which is quarter to. Okay, if the long hand of the clock points to number 9 or the 45-minute mark. So this is what we call as quarter to, and it depends on the time here. The shorthand, if it is pointed almost to 2, so it will be quarter to 2. But if the long hand points at number 3 or the 15-minute mark, it is called as quarter past. And quarter past, a number of which the shorthand is pointing to. So in this clock, it is quarter past 2. Let's tell the time. To do some recap, okay, in the earlier lesson, we have learned that if the long hand points at 12, we call it as 12 o'clock, or depending on where the shorthand points to. So this one, we will use the word o'clock. If the long hand points at 6, we use half past. So it could be half past 1, which is 1:30, or half past 6, which means 6:30. And if it points to 3, we will say quarter past. For example, quarter past 2, so it means it is 2:15. Or quarter past 10, so it is 10:15. However, if the long hand points to the 9, it will be quarter to. Quarter to, for example, quarter to 12 means it's 11:45, or quarter to 8, meaning it is 7:45. Let's do some exercise to further understand this. So let's try to draw the time in the clock. So it says that it is 12:30. So we will draw our shorthand pointing to 12 and the long hand pointing to 6. This is 12:30. But how about in words? What do we use? Is it half past 12, quarter past 12, 12 past 30, or 12 past half? Yes, you're right. It is half past 12. Well done. Let's move on. How about this time? How should we write the clock? Yes, the shorthand goes to 8 and the long hand goes to 12. Well done. So how do we say this in a word? Do you say it's 0 to 8, 8 to 0, 0 past 8, or 8 o'clock? Well done. It is 8 o'clock. For the next clock, how should we write 4:45? Yes, it's pointing to 4, almost 5, and the long hand at 9. Very good. So how do we say it in words? Do we say it is 3:30, 4:45, 4:45, or 4:45? Think carefully. Yes, it is 4:45. Well done. Next, how about this time? How do we write it in the clock? Yes, the long hand goes to 3 and the short hand points to 7. Well done. And how do we say it in words? Is it 7:15, 7:15, 8:15, or 7:15? Yes, you're right. It is 7:15. For next time, it is 10:45. So how do we write it in the clock? Yes, you're right. The short hand pointing in the middle of 10 and 11, and the long hand points at 9. And in words, we say it is. Good job. It is 11:15. Remember, if it is 2, it is almost to the next number. The next question, 12:15. Can you draw the clock? 12:15. Yes, the short hand goes to 12 and the long hand goes to 3. Very good. And in words, how do we say it? It is. Yes, it is 12:15. So now let's move on to the exercise in your workbook on page 55. Look at the picture carefully. You're gonna match it with the correct words. For example, number 1. Where does the long hand points to? Yes, it points to 12 and the short hand points to 1. So what time is it? Yes, you're right. It is 1 o'clock. So draw it to 1 o'clock. For number 2, the clock shows 11:15. So 11:15, if we draw it in the clock, it will look something like this. (11:15). So since it is on this side, okay, we use the word past. So it is 1/2 or 1/4. Yes, you're right. It is 1/4, and the shorthand points at 11. So it is 11:15. Well done. For number 3, let's look at number 3. The long hand points at 6 and the short hand points at 11. So when it points at 6, what do we use? Is it quarter past or half past? Yes, it is half past. So half past 1 or half past 11. It all depends on the shorthand. Where does it point to? Yes, you're right again. It is half past 11. Good job. And for number 4, the clock states that it is 1:30. So if it is in the form of clock, it will look something like this. 1 shorthand and 30 will be longhand. So remember the formula that we have learned. If it is on this side of the clock, we use half past. So since number 6 is including in this half of the clock, so it is half past the shorthand of 1. Okay, so the time is half past 1. Very good. And the last one, number 5, we have the long hand pointing to 9 and the short hand almost reaching to 1. So when we see the formula of a clock, if it is on the other side of the half past, okay, we will use the word quarter to. Quarter to the next closest number. Is this nearing to 1 or is it nearing to 12? Okay, it is nearing to 1. So we will say that this is quarter to 1. Okay, so the answer is quarter to 1. Moving on to the next one, you will need to read and draw the time. So let's try number 1 together. Let's read it. It says that it's 3 o'clock. Remember, what did I say about when we use the word o'clock? Yes, it points to number 12. Okay, so the long hand or the short hand? Yes, you're right, it is the long hand. So the short hand will go to 3. So this is 3 o'clock. Try doing number 2, 3, and 4 and then send it to your teacher for him or her to check. That's all for this lesson. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.